Hey everybody, Texas Stroger here, Alliance Performance Shop, Mopars.com. Sunday fun day, had a very busy Saturday. I finally had a totally free Saturday. No work, no obligations, nothing. Just able to come out here, get 12, 14 hours consecutive, no interruptions. And, basically from 2 until 11 when I went in, like I didn't stop for anything. I grabbed a bottle of water and that was all I needed. Got a ton done, and one of the things that I've needed to do is kind of clear out some space over here by showcasing some stuff. And while I still have this here, this will be going back to work tomorrow. This is kind of important. Once again, that's 17 millimeter half-inch drive. Holding function, if we spin it around, it drives me nuts. No pun intended that is not clocked and consistent through the set. But why? I have to deal with this all the time. And the holding function, since a lot of this is done overhead and in awkward positions, is super nice. Now, of course, you saw the whole saga, right? I came home, I had to rob a Harbor Freight one, which was the only thing I had that was that big in metric land. Ultimately, to get me by in a pinch, I was like, at Harbor Freight anyway, you know, that weekend, and I grabbed a set just in case, so I'm covered. Get to replace my 17 here, have it as a backup. Kind of kicked around what to do, and I told you, you know, I talked to my Mac guy, which of course he went on to order the RBRT stuff for me, unbeknownst to me, and then I ultimately pulled the trigger on Vera. But one of my considerations was another German tool company, Wiha. And you're thinking like, oh yeah, you know, that might have been a good idea, right? Here's the thing. You're thinking like holding function maybe is on your mind because of that. You think of, you know, MagicRing, the Wiha equivalent. As best I know, there is no 17 millimeter, right? 10 millimeter and under, shoot, yeah, I can go to town with that. But 17 mil, I don't think so. So, subsequently, I was on the site anyway. I think this coincided with a sale. Everything usually does if you don't know how I operate. And this is here because it was free when I placed my order. Some criteria they had at the time, if you did X dollars or something, you got a free Wiha Terminator Blue impact set. Now, the Terminator bits are fantastic. I've got a Tic Tac pack over here, still almost completely full, because they just don't wear down. When they had their big like partnership with Lowe's, they kind of came out with the blue. I have some of the Go boxes that have the blue bits. These just hold up incredibly well. It's kind of like a belt clip type of a pack. I think I've showcased this before. This one's kind of cool. 1 and 2 Phillips, 1 and 2 square, and then T20, 25, and 30. Might have been neat to see a 15, but I guess since it's like, you know, impact rated, I just shied away from that. But free, I have zero complaints when something is free. These next two items were kind of new, and I'd sort of had them on my radar and thought, well, if I'm placing an order, we just as well do it. They're $17.97 a piece, or at least that's what we paid. And the first one, item number 7488. Boom. You're thinking like, oh, mini nut driver. Some of you see this, right? Little ball, and you think like, wait, those are adapters. That's exactly what these are. This is going to be a 3-piece, you might guess what's included, 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2 inch adapter set. So you've got your impact driver of choice. Plug these suckers in and you convert to 3/8, 1/2 inch, what have you. Very simple, color-coded if that's your jam. The big thing, look how compact that is, right? I'm hoping that I can kind of press those down, but think of like going to the junkyard. Think of if you're mobile or do field service or just get called out, maybe just get pulled to the parking lot for something. Grab this with your impact, have it handy in a bag, whatever, and you're kind of home free, right? To get all 3 sizes is pretty nice. I have had very good luck with a similar product, which would be over here, going to be the magnetic Nutsetters. 3/8 I use a lot. I've got a dedicated one at work just for some uncrating, unpalleting things. The 7/16 here in brown sees a lot of work here on the fence on some of the bigger lag screws. And I mention all that because the next item in their catalog, literally $74.89, takes that form factor, applies it, and you're like, oh wow, you got more. No, these are actually the magnetic nutsetters just minified. All right, shrunken down. This is a pretty good length. I usually run around with these in my back pocket, like when I have to do the fence stuff here, because it's a hodgepodge of a couple fastener sizes. However, at work, it's usually 3/8 that sees the primary stuff. This is a 3-piece set similar to that, and kind of ideal, in my opinion, automotive stuff, because another application for these, particularly this size, would be clamps, right? Gear worm stuff. So what are those going to be? Typically, you know, you got a slotted, maybe sometimes filch, usually slotted. The ones I run at work are. But the beauty of them is you can also run a nut driver. They're usually 3/8, the big ones I run. But you got 1/4, 5/16, and 3/8 here. Again, these are relatively new items from Wiha. Not sure how many times they've been showcased or not. I've considered making shorts, particularly like with the Mac ratchet stuff. I've actually recorded them, I just haven't had time to do anything. People have the attention spans of squirrels, it seems like, and they just look for instant gratification. And hey, you know, maybe we can, you know, get to 10K that way, so I can release the Snap-on stuff and stop having it backlog a myriad of other videos where I foolishly showcase Snap-on stuff. But hey, that aside, I'm pretty excited about these, and I'm kind of torn. I kind of want them at work, I kind of want them here, I kind of want them in the car, and I kind of wanted to check them out before I commit. Even though I'm pretty confident I'm going to like everything, I'm that type of a person. Before I shell out 50 bucks, I'd rather get it in at 17 and be like, yeah, you know what, these are nice, or ooh, you know, found an issue, or not as good as I thought, or man, these are fantastic, I'm an idiot, I should have just bought all 3 sets at the same time. So we'll go to town in that manner. I've still not bought the metric magnetic nut setters. I've always intended to, I've just never done it. Maybe next time there's a big sale, we will make that happen. That said, the bigger items are kind of here, and again, you got to keep in mind, I don't know the details on the sale. Like, you know, that's why it's nice if you like get to film stuff as soon as it comes in, because it's fresh on your mind. But there was some reason I was thumbing around outside of that, you know, the 17mm hunt, and it had to do with this. I kind of think, I don't remember if it was ErgoStar or all L-Key sets or long L. There was something that coincided and tied in with this. And this is the spendiest item from this haul. I can turn around and grab this paperwork here. We spent, well, $54.99 is the current price. Or maybe that was a sale price. I think that was a sale price. Don't hold me to that, and that might have been before a discount or something. But bottom line, we did this. Everything like, oh, okay, we got green. That's usually Torx for Wiha. You're 100% correct there if you couldn't read it. It's just the color code, right? You know, you see yellow, you know it's SE. You see red, you know it's metric. You see green, you know it's Torx. Works well. And we didn't have anything near this length for Torx stuff, right? Which is kind of funny because, you know, you think small, like delicate, a lot of times you Torx fasteners, depends what industry you're in. A lot of people think of like sensor screws, right? You sit there and you take a carburetor off, you know, and you need like a 7/16 wrench. You take, you know, some early throttle bodies off, and it's nuts and bolts, or it's got screws on the side, you know, that hold your sensors in place. And at some point, kind of before the whole security Torx thing, you know, it got to where manufacturers were like, we don't really want Jimbo and Fred taking off their TPS sensor and modifying it. Let's just go ahead and, you know, make that difficult for them. So the way that was done back in the day was Torx screws. Is it a superior fastener? Is it just to make you buy new tools? Or is it a little bit of both? Who knows? But now, you know, anytime you almost think of a sensor, you know, like you can come in, I mean, geez, I've got throttle bodies sitting on the floor beside me off Magnums. Everything's Torx, right? You have to come in and you've got to have a litany of Torx drivers available. I keep some Vits over here in a stand, just ready to go. T10, 15, 20, probably up to like 25, 27. You can get by, right? You know, if you had like standard or short length Vera stuff or something. You get up to some of the bigger sizes and you really do kind of need more leverage, right? I mean, there's some pretty significant torque put on these things. And this is doing two things for me. Anytime something is close quarters, obviously the short end of the L is nice. Similarly, that short end of the L being engaged in the fastener means I've got this giant arm over here, and whether I'm using my hand or I want to slip a pipe over it or what have you, I'm able to do that, and it's much easier than if something's stubby, provided we have the space. But this also does something else unique for us, and if you can see the graphic down at the bottom with the green 25 degree, you're thinking like, no, what could it be? And it's kind of a ball-end type of a design. I don't know how that's going to work. I've never, to the best of my knowledge, played with anything like that, but it is going to be something new in the arsenal. So this is Wiha's part number 36689. Again, $55 basically. And the set contents here, we are going T5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 15, 20, 25. That's really like the heart of what I tend to run into. Basically 15 through 27. Lots and lots of 20s and 25s being the breadwinners. 27, 30, 40, 45. Would have been cool if this went to 50. Why do I always talk about 50? Because virtually every seatbelt I ever have to deal with is a 50. But again, and those are insanely tight, you know, for good reason. But might be nice. I don't know. I'd have to try it. I think, in all honesty, I'd probably prefer to have a breaker bar or some, you know, long ratchet type of a thing equipped. But it is what it is. Spinning this around, we're going to come in. Again, S2 tool steel. These are, whoa, where is the English? 20%, I guess, just the bullet point. Okay, that works. 20% longer for hard-to-reach areas. That's going to be a big deal. Precision machine for an exact fit. I have had a very, very good luck with Wiha. People still like to knock their pliers and everything made in Vietnam. I'm telling you, they're legit pliers. But if you had concerns or you're very particular about your country of origin, these are made in Germany, as you can hopefully see there, right under the no-hassle guarantee for your warranty. The thing I am most grateful to Wiha for, and one of the reasons we didn't tear into those other two items, which I don't know how bad people wanted to see them, is this packaging. I say that, it should just snap. The catch is I've got to get a fingernail in between it, and that is proving difficult for me. So, come on, man. It's so hard when you don't have your dominant hand's thumb in full functioning capability. Even after like almost 6 years now, so it's just kind of sad. But, there we go. Once you get her started, you're home free. There's another selling point here, and it's with the ErgoStar. And isn't that nice, you know? Just no cutting, no straining, no scissors. No cussing for the most part, just ready to go to town. The ErgoStar. I've made videos on these long ago. I kind of kicked off a craze where people were retrofitting hex keys into this, and the reason is this. Watch. Let's say that we need a T40. What did I just do? I spun everything. No. We won't go T40. We'll go T20. Okay? So all this stuff's on top of it, a 40 and a 27. I just extracted our T20. Okay? Note, these don't come out. They don't come out that way. If I move the biggest key, they all fan out. If I come back over here and I switch around and we take that T5 right here and I turn it, those actually aren't triggering it. Interestingly enough, they totally should. Guess it's just they can't overcome the resistance. But basically, if you need anything, you just flip your biggest key, which, let's face it, that's what you're going to go to anyway, to open them up, and it's awesome. Just simple thing that makes your life easier and more enjoyable. Branding, probably should have grabbed the T40, but since we got the 20, let's do it. We're going to try to focus in on this. Beautiful. You got a standalone part number, right, for your Torx L-Key long arm one here. You've got CRV, made in Germany, T20. There is the ball end. Again, outside of maybe a couple odds and end bits, I am typically going straight in on Torx. There's been times it would have been very nice given the ridiculous angles. I mean, I'm talking... You either have to dismantle and take stuff off that doesn't need to come off to get access to, like a straight-on shot, or you have to take your straight Torx bit or driver or flag or what you might have and sort of try to come in at an angle, and then you run the risk of, did we catch enough of the fastener to turn it, or are we going to booger the thing up? So this could be pretty dadgum handy. Again, how well it holds up, how well it works, I don't really know. We're going to have to wait and see, but basically, I hope that conveys well. You know, if this was just straight Torx, we would come in there, but it's got that ball in, and they claim 25 degrees. So, you know, roughly right here, if I'm coming over a manifold bolt or another sensor of some sort, or just like a harness that does not disconnect without going underneath the dash or something to pull back and get slack. People do crazy things with aftermarket performance stuff, right? We can jump in, get 25, and hopefully turn that free and swap a TPS sensor or something. So, pretty cool little deal. And we're not done there, though, because this was part of the deal. You know what? We might have to take a field trip here, kind of explain it. I think we will. Come with me to the magical land of overflowing L-Key. All right, so top left drawer, always, my whole life. Little Craftsman box to the side. In the top drawers, I've always kept L-Keys. So, that said, let's check this out. Yeah, this kind of, and I've had to take so many to work. Like, I don't have full-size metrics. I used to have the pouched Vera SAEs, the first ones I bought. I took those to work. I keep thinking I have all the Vera stuff reassembled in full collection at home, and that is not true. But over time, like, I got insane buys on these little Stavilla ones, and that was a huge perk. They were little. They came in. Vera recently introduced like the shorter Hex Plus ones, and I was like, oh, you know, that could come in handy. Got their Torx right here. It's one of these deals where if we open back, okay, and I pulled some stuff out of here, and it still hasn't like improved, but this is whenever I was playing with the ErgoStar holders, right? I've got other sets elsewhere. I have multiple ErgoStar backups in the event that I load other ones. But Wiha does these compact carries that are actually quite nice. However, they don't open up like that. This set here actually goes there with a red dot. Yellow dot in the back corner is the compact SAE. I try to keep SAE on the left and metric on the right, but it doesn't quite always work that way. Wiha also has the full color coding available in their L-Keys, which you can see here and here. And then they've got this, the ErgoStar. And you're thinking like, oh, okay, well, those are a little longer than these, right? Grab that for me. Oh yeah, way longer. So those are the long arms in the ErgoStar. Funny, why do they do that? These are actually special. If I dial in here, you're going to see like a very, very good finish on these. I oftentimes reach for these, just especially at home, and since I have the Vera stuff at work, the Wiha is slightly more exotic because it's only in one spot, right? And I do a lot with the very small metric and then mid-size SAE. The fit on these has been phenomenal. However, these two sets here have this, and you're thinking like, okay, well, they're just like chromed instead of painted, or that's not really even the same high luster as that. What's the deal? These are the MagicRing, and where that little 17 I showed you had like that ball to hold a fastener, these have like a wire clip. Same concept. Think of Coke and Nut grips, think of Vera's holding functions. This is Wiha's take on it. I'm not sure that this wouldn't hold up better over time, right? But where these have come in handy for me is like top-down stuff. And then anytime I'm in a weird position and you want to try and hold the fastener to get it started, you have to snake it through a jungle or something. So I'm showing you that because if I'm able to possibly move these out, I can resort these, and apparently I thought I had completed this, and I've not. But I'm going to need to get the metric Veras here. But I tell you, the Hex Plus profile, I have taken out screws like on the lathes and stuff when you're doing, you know, teeth changes or something. They look totally junked. Like, I'm thinking like, oh, geez. And they take it out. It's pretty dadgum cool. Excellent fit the rest of the time. The Stavillas are just really plain, but they're short. And it's just, I think every one of those has been tool of the day. It's just over time, good things happen type of a thing. Starting to build out tweezers in here, but I still just keep using my stupid cheap ones. So we kind of held off on that. But I'm going to grab this and this for reasons you are about to see. Alright, so here are our three amigos, Wiha's ErgoStar equipped holders. Again, SAE in yellow, metric in red. These are both holding function with the MagicRing. And this is their Torx. Their Torx, they don't seem to have that technology. Also, in pictures online, their Torx keys look to have the same finish as either one of these holding functions with the MagicRing. They're black. They're clearly black. However, this ties in with like a very expensive item that I don't own, but I hope to own someday, especially if it's like clearanced. And I've got like this vision of something, and it would be really cool, but it would be like stupidly expensive, which is why I haven't done it. But this is kind of a stepping stone to making it a reality, maybe. It is Wiha's part number 93051. Fairly reasonable when you know what some people charge for this stuff. This thing is around 33 bucks. It's right here. You think like, oh, well, I see the part number, but that didn't even make much of a sound, man. I thought there was going to be some screwdrivers. How can you do a Wiha video without screwdrivers? Yeah, okay. Well, you're welcome. Token screwdriver throw down. This is something that when I started buying from Wiha, I didn't really have this stuff, right? Some of you might guess what it is, because it really is in the box. I'm not like screwing around with you. And no, sadly, it's not a screwdriver. But that is part of the long term, if that pans out. So if I rip this out, box is now empty, box goes flying, this comes down. It is foam, and they do quite a nice job on the foam, but it comes, oh Lord, I've moved all my tape measures. Like everything. Here's the Stanley. So the Black Widow is across the shop now, and the Hazette is elsewhere, but the Stanley, good old Stanley here, 15.5 inches long. Okay, this thing is going to be 11 inches deep, and we're going to stand like an 1.25-ish tall. All right, that might be important. That might eliminate this from some drawers if they're super shallow, but this is not, in any way, shape, or form, the most efficient thing you could do, all right, sadly. And it's not exactly like the best use of space at all in any circumstance, but it is something, and it's something that I felt like I wanted to see and try to get a feel for. And if we can make it happen, I just gotta dial this in. I remember Torx was in the middle, and I'm thinking I've gotten everything else as it should be. So, yeah. Now, you just saw, this is one of the reasons we went to the drawer. I could totally fit the three. That's a very narrow drawer on the Husky, okay? And I could stack these. Look at this dead space in between them, okay? Yes, it's nice aesthetically and everything, but we're pushing like 2.25 inches, right? 2.25. You could flip the Torx keys and nest them kind of type of a thing, you know. You could do things far, far, far more efficiently. This is cool. This looks nice. I wish SAE was left and metric was right. That's my setup, because I read left to right, so I gravitate towards SAE, use it more. I want it on the left side. That's how my mind works. But with this, what I've effectively done is I've pulled long space-consuming items from that drawer. I've created more drawer space. I've got a new home for these, not just here, but in a different box, right? But these are kind of special. And what I mean by that is you've got long with the MagicRing holding function. You can kind of use those interchangeably. And then you've got ball-in Torx, which I did not have prior to this purchase, right? So if I treat these like, you know, special, you know, application tools, I've got stuff in the box that's just general purpose that gets me through, and then I'm not putting mileage on the, does that make sense, you know? Like, the holding function, the MagicRing is great, but if I'm using it all the time, I could very easily, in situations I don't necessarily need it, but think it would be nice or want to use it because I have it, what if I wear the spring down, right? I've hit that point, and then I have an application where it's like, man, I really, really need that, and I'm an idiot, and I just wore it down prematurely, right? This is kind of like a race car. If you push a car to the limit, and you're doing drag and drive events, right, you could totally take it to the grocery store, and you might even do that on occasion. But if you start using like your 8-second quarter mile dual purpose street strip car for your daily driver, and you start pulling trailers with it with project cars and stuff, you tax the engine, right? You wear down the drive line prematurely, whereas if you would have just kept it race only, right, maybe you go 2 seasons before you even tear things down to inspect, right? But if you're sitting there and it's like you're taking the kids to school in it, you know, not just on the first day or the last day or a birthday, special occasions, but like every day stuck in bumper to bumper traffic, you know, that's a lot of unnecessary wear and tear on that vehicle. Just like grandma's minivan, right? She got one for the kids type of a thing, haul them around, go on trips, the whole 9 yards, okay? If you go out and you're doing burnouts in that, or trying to do burnouts and launching it hard, you put a lot of unnecessary wear on her mundane driveline that probably would have lasted until she traded it in or the lease was up or something, by you taking it to the track literally every single weekend, okay? That's where these are. Would it be cool? Like, oh, hey, man, that MagicRing is legit and it just doesn't die. I would love to know that, but at the same time, if I've used it as my set, if that's the only L-Keys you've got, you're taxing it. And you run the risk of, oh, man, you know, now I actually have a situation where I truly need it because I keep dropping fasteners and having to fish them out, and I, for the life of me, can't get this going, and the MagicRing would have done it. You've created an issue for yourself, right? You're going to have to go get that, you know, exchanged or buy a new one or something. So that's kind of part of the mindset. I don't know. Again, perfect world, I'd have SAE left. You could make, I don't know why, Koken, I love their foam. They do a really good job. They have the same form factor, 1/4 3/8. The 1/2 inch, I think, was just absurdly large. That's why I did plastic. 5-piece set was cheaper than going individual, but the size of the foam was just like, what? Why? It's extensions, man. You could fit like 40 of them here, and we have 5 or 6 or something stupid, right? So I don't know how this will be in a standard drawer. It's complete overkill and kind of space wasting, but long term, if I do the thing that I think would be super cool, this is like twin turbo Viper talk from me, right? Eventually, I would like to go that route. It's long term, it's going to require sales, or I win the lottery or something crazy, which I don't play. You know, if I can do what I want to do, this would be really, really cool. And in the meantime, I can kind of feel it out. If I hate it, I can put the foam back in the box. That's why I'll keep the box and throw it somewhere up top on a shelf, because it's a featherweight and doesn't take up much space in terms of bulk storage. But why people that do the foam don't like compact the foam, I will never understand. This is very nice. Get the Wiha logo, everything's divided. I'm nowhere near either one of these. That's great. But at the same time, like, I would rather have this compacted down to here and then another foam component for my standard long arm color-coded keys, right? Or a short form or something. But I pulled the trigger. I think the foam was on sale too, honestly. We got really, anytime I do stuff like this, I wait until there's deals and then we pull the trigger. But that's what I did. And we added these to the arsenal, long Torx with a ball end. And then we got free bits, and we got these brand new little, really, really compact nutsetters, magnetic nutsetters. So again, if I didn't stress that enough, these are a miniature version of these guys, tried and true. And then just 1/4, 3/8, and 1/2, which is great for so many things. But yeah, that is what we did. What I want to know from you, what are your thoughts on the foam? What are your thoughts on the MagicRing? Do you keep that? It could be a holding function like this. Do you have it, but you only use it special needs? Or you the mindset like, I bought that, that's awesome, it's getting used all the time, I'm never going to touch my plain ones again. If it wears out, they replace it. You know, there's different schools of thought there. If I had the insights, like if I knew, like, okay, I've used these for 15 years, I've never worn one out, they're my daily driver. That's different than just being unknown, right? I don't know, and the only way I can know is to find out. Or if someone tells me, like, dude, those MagicRing, man, they're bulletproof. Never worn one out, been using, got him, 10 years, right? Others of you might say, like, yeah, I bought the ErgoStars, loved them, ran them non-stop, and it's just premature wear. You're better off coupling the ErgoStars MagicRing with a standard L-Key. I don't know. I'm trying, right? So that's sort of where we stand there. Your thoughts and opinions always appreciated. Similarly, if you enjoyed the video, leave a like, leave a comment, share your opinions and experiences. It's always appreciated. If you have not subscribed, I encourage you to do so. If you do that, you ring the bell, you jump your charger across the creek, you crash down, you grab your SAE, MagicRing Hex Keys from Wiha, and you reinstall a component on the General Lee. YouTube just might notify you. We got new videos every Wednesday and Saturday, 9 a.m. Texas time. With that said, thanks so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Most importantly, I hope I catch you back here for more from the shop.